Since the early 1900s, there have been sightings of an 8 foot tall, half man, half beast creature known as the Boojum in western North Carolina's Great Smoky Mountains. The Boojum shares a lot of similarities with Bigfoot. He's covered from head to toe in furry gray hair. He has a striking resemblance to a human in the face. He has a very low, guttural call or cry, and he prefers the solitude of the backcountry Appalachian Mountains. And he's known to be mostly harmless, but it's still said that it's a good idea to keep a safe distance if you do come across Boojum in the wild. What makes Boojum unique are his two loves: collecting the precious gemstones that are abundant in the caves of Haywood County where he lives, and pretty girls, and not necessarily in that order. There's not really a nice way to say this. Boojum was a bit of a peeping Tom. In the early 1900s, it was not uncommon for the ladies of the day, rather than spend money on having bathtubs in their homes, they would just take advantage of the mountain streams, the secluded mountain streams, with the illusion of privacy. Well, more than a couple stories surface of Boojum, hiding out in a rhododendron or mountain laurel thicket. Still, it's pretty clear that Boojum didn't want total solitude. Now, the ladies of the day, of course, shrieked and ran away, taking their belongings with them in anger and embarrassment, and Boojum would retreat to the cover of the caves that he knew so well before anyone could really discover him. But one day, something extraordinary happened. A local lady named Annie was taking a bath in a mountain stream, and lo and behold, Boojum was there. And he was discovered. Only when Annie locked eyes with Boojum, she did not run away and scream. Instead, she saw the loneliness and the melancholy in his eyes, and she fell in love at first sight with Boojum. And to the dismay of her family, she took off to be with Boojum and live a life in the middle of the secluded woods with him. Of course, Boojum never gave up his first love of collecting and hoarding the precious gemstones that the local caves so freely provided him. And ultimately, there would be times when he just had to break free from Annie and go on his nighttime moonlit treasure hunts. Boojum was real clever about how he hid his loot, though. He hid it in the bottom of moonshine jugs that either he looted from steals he came up on, or he made himself and called pertinent juice. So he figured at the bottom of the moonshine jugs, and he would just fill them all the way up with moonshine, because he knew full well no self-respecting mountain man was going to risk spilling a single drop of the powerful hooch. And he knew that they would be passed out and in a stupor well before the time they reached the bottom of the jug, so he would be able to come by and collect his loot with no one the wiser. Now, just like Boojum loved his precious gems, Annie loved Boojum, and she couldn't go long without him before she went out looking for him. And she had this certain call. Locals say that heard it said it sounded like somewhere between a mix between a wild animal screech and a hoot owl hooting. And they called it a hootenanny. And that's where the term came from. Mountain folks called a shindig or a party a hootenanny, and that's exactly where that came from, was hootenanny looking for her Boojum. And Boojum had his own call that he would answer her back. Now, those sightings started as far back as the early 1900s, y'all, and they still go on, into modern times. So it's quite possible that Boojum and Annie had a little family out there. Who knows? But that's been Jay's Haunted Appalachia for tonight. That's been the story of Boojum. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I want to give a special thanks to Jerry Collier for recommending this. I've been hearing this story from my pops my whole life about Boojum, and he just refreshed my memory about it last night when he asked for a story from Western North Carolina. So keep sending me those stories and suggestions, y'all, and keep Appalachia haunted.